Welcome to Daily Drizzle English, where learning English is easy, effective, and inspiring. Today we're diving into a heartfelt love story that teaches us about the power of true love and the patience needed to overcome life's challenges. The story of Lily and James will take you through the struggles and sacrifices they face to keep their love alive. It's not just a love story, but also a lesson about selflessness, determination, and the strength that comes from making tough decisions in life. Get ready to immerse yourself in this story. And as you do, you'll improve your English listening skills with real-life situations and vocabulary. Each step of this journey will introduce you to new words and phrases. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe so you don't miss any of our exciting future videos. Now, let's begin this beautiful love story. In a tranquil, picturesque village nestled between rolling green hills and lush blooming meadows, there lived a young woman named Lily. Her long, dark hair cascaded down her back, and her bright, hopeful eyes sparkled like the morning sun. Lily's family, though poor, lived in a small cottage filled with warmth, laughter, and an abundance of love. They didn't have much in terms of material wealth, but they had each other, and that was enough for them. From a young age, Lily found comfort and joy in reading books. She was fascinated by stories of faraway lands, adventures, and grand heroes. Her mind wandered to places beyond her small village, where life was full of excitement and opportunity. Lily dreamed of seeing the world and experiencing life outside the confines of her humble home. More than anything, she longed to find a love as deep and powerful as those she read about in her books. She imagined a love that would stand the test of time, that would be strong enough to overcome any obstacle. One sunny morning, while heading to the bustling village market, Lily's life was about to change forever. As she made her way through the busy marketplace, she noticed a young man standing near a fruit stall. He was tall, with striking features, and wore an expression of quiet confidence. His name was James. He had a kind smile that seemed to brighten the atmosphere around him. James came from a wealthy family. His parents owned large estates, and their grand house stood on a hill overlooking the village. People often spoke of his family's riches, but James didn't seem like someone who cared much for material wealth. He noticed Lily immediately, captivated by her warmth and the grace with which she carried herself. He gathered his courage and approached her. "Hello," he said with a smile, his voice friendly and genuine. Lily looked up, a little surprised, but returned the smile. They exchanged greetings, and soon their conversation turned into something more. They talked about everything and anything, how the day was going, the hustle and bustle of the market, and the beautiful weather. As they spoke, something between them shifted. What started as polite small talk quickly turned into an easy, flowing conversation. They felt as if they had known each other for years. Over the next few weeks, Lily and James met often. They went for long walks together, wandered along the riverbanks, and sat beneath the shade of trees, sharing their dreams. Lily admired James not for his wealth, but for his kindness, his thoughtfulness, and the way he cared for the people around him. James, in turn, was captivated by Lily's intelligence, her quiet strength, and the depth of her heart. They shared their hopes, their fears, and their dreams for the future. Lily's dreams, once filled with fantasies of distant lands, slowly started to include James by her side. She began to picture a life with him, a life filled with love and the possibility of happiness. James, too, began to realize that Lily was someone he could see himself with for the rest of his life. Though their love had not yet been openly acknowledged, it was clear to both of them that something beautiful was beginning to blossom. Neither of them had spoken of love yet, but their hearts were beginning to understand what was happening. Their friendship was growing deeper, and they both silently cherished the bond they shared. As the weeks went by, their bond only grew stronger. What began as friendship gradually evolved into something much deeper. The connection between Lily and James became undeniable. They spent more and more time together, sharing quiet moments, laughing at little things, and confiding in one another. Their feelings for each other began to deepen as they realized that they were no longer just friends. They were in love. One beautiful evening, as the sun began to set, casting warm, golden light across the fields, James took Lily's hand in his. He turned to her with a soft smile, his voice filled with sincerity and emotion. "Lily," he began, "from the first moment I met you, I knew you were special. Every time we're together, I feel more and more certain that you are the one I want to spend my life with. I love you, Lily. Will you marry me?" Lily's heart skipped a beat. She felt a surge of emotion rise within her, her eyes welling up with tears of joy. "Yes," she whispered, her voice trembling. "Yes, James, I love you too, more than words can say." They embraced, and in that moment, it felt as though the entire world stood still. There was nothing but them, their love, and the bright future that awaited them together. But as with all great love stories, their happiness was soon tested. When James shared the news of their engagement with his parents, the reaction was far from the joy he had hoped for. His parents were not happy. They did not approve of Lily. They didn't think she was good enough for their son. They felt that her humble background was a mark against her, and that James, being from a wealthy family, deserved someone of equal status. James was heartbroken by his parents' reaction. He loved Lily with all his heart and could not understand why they couldn't see the goodness in her. He tried to explain to his parents that love was not about money or status, but about who a person truly was. But his words fell on deaf ears. His parents made it clear that if he chose to marry Lily, they would not support him. Lily, too, felt the weight of the situation. She knew that James loved her, but she didn't want to be the cause of him losing his family's support. She could see the pain in his eyes, and it tore her apart. As much as she loved him, she couldn't bear the thought of him being torn between his family and her. One evening, after a long, silent dinner, Lily decided to speak to James. Her heart heavy with sorrow, she said, "James, I love you more than anything, but I don't want to make your life harder. Maybe it's better if we don't marry. I don't want you to lose your family." James was devastated. "Lily, no," he said, his voice filled with desperation. "I can't live without you. We'll find a way. We'll make it work, no matter what." But Lily, her eyes filled with tears, shook her head. "I can't stand to see you suffer because of me. I love you too much to let that happen." James was crushed, but he knew she was right. He promised her, "I will always love you, Lily. No matter what happens, you'll always have my heart." The days following their painful conversation were filled with a deep sense of sadness and longing. Both Lily and James tried their best to move on, but the love they shared was too powerful to ignore. Despite their efforts to focus on other aspects of their lives, their hearts remained tangled in a web of emotions that neither of them could escape. James continued to face intense pressure from his parents. Every conversation with them felt like a battle. His parents' voices, cold and unyielding, echoed in his mind. You cannot marry someone like Lily. She is not the right match for you. You deserve someone who can bring you status and wealth, someone who comes from a family of equal standing. James tried to defend Lily, but his words felt like they were falling on deaf ears. His parents were too caught up in their own ideals to see the truth. Lily, too, felt the weight of the situation. She threw herself into her work, keeping busy to avoid confronting the pain she felt deep inside. But no matter how hard she worked or how many hours she spent helping her family, her thoughts always drifted back to James. The love they shared had been pure, without pretensions, and she knew in her heart that it was a love worth fighting for. But the more she thought about the circumstances, the more she realized that her love for him had become a burden. It wasn't just about their relationship anymore. It was about James's future, his happiness, and his family. She couldn't bear the thought of him losing everything for her, especially when his parents refused to accept her. One evening, after a particularly difficult conversation with her own parents, Lily made a decision that would break both of their hearts. She knew it was the right choice, but it didn't make it any easier. She sat down with James, her eyes filled with sorrow, and said, "James, I can't keep doing this. I love you more than I can express, but I can't be the reason you lose your family, your future. You deserve better than this." James's heart shattered as he heard those words. The thought of being without her was unbearable, but he understood the weight of her words. "No, Lily," he said, his voice trembling. "I can't let you go. I love you. We'll figure this out. We'll find a way to be together." Lily shook her head, tears rolling down her cheeks. "James, you've tried. You've fought for us, but it's clear that they will never accept me. I can't stand to see you torn between your family and me. It's not fair to you. It's not fair to anyone." The pain in James's eyes mirrored her own, but he knew she was right. He could not keep living in limbo, constantly battling with his parents, who held so much power over his future. But Lily's sacrifice was a reminder of the love she had for him, her selflessness, her willingness to let him go in order to protect him. "I will always love you, Lily," James whispered, his voice filled with raw emotion. "You will always have my heart, no matter what happens." With that, they made the heart-wrenching decision to part ways, knowing that the love they shared was too pure to be destroyed, but too complicated to continue under the current circumstances. They promised to stay friends, to always be there for each other, but their hearts ached as they walked away from each other, both silently hoping that one day fate would bring them back together. Years passed and life went on. Lily threw herself into her work, helping her family and becoming a pillar of support for everyone around her. She found fulfillment in taking care of others, in helping them achieve their dreams. But no matter how much she gave, there was a hole in her heart. The absence of James was a constant ache, a reminder of what they had lost. James, too, tried to move forward. He became successful in his career and built a life that, on the surface, seemed perfect. But no matter how many achievements he reached or how many new people he met, there was always something missing. Every success, every milestone, felt hollow without Lily by his side. One day, after many years of separation, James found himself back in the village. He had built a successful life, but his thoughts had never strayed far from Lily. He missed her more than words could express. He missed the way she made him feel understood, the way she cared for him, and the way she saw the world with such kindness. He knew that he couldn't live the rest of his life without her. With a heavy heart, James went to the cottage where Lily had lived all those years ago. His hands trembled as he knocked on the door, uncertain of what he would say, uncertain of how she would react. But when the door opened and Lily stood before him, their eyes locked, and for a moment the world stood still. "James," Lily whispered, her voice filled with shock and disbelief. She had never stopped thinking about him, but seeing him again brought back a flood of emotions. "You're here." "I never stopped loving you, Lily," James said, his voice trembling with the weight of his feelings. "I don't care what happened before. I don't care about the past. All that matters is that I want to be with you. I want to make up for lost time." Lily's heart raced. She had spent years convincing herself that she had to move on, that their love was something they had to let go of. But standing before James now, she realized that some loves are too strong to ever truly fade away. The love they had was still alive, still burning brightly in both of them. "But your parents," Lily began, but James cut her off gently. "I don't need their approval anymore, Lily. I don't care about their opinion. All I care about is you. We've both waited long enough. It's time to be together." Tears filled Lily's eyes as she realized that the moment she had longed for had finally arrived. She smiled through her tears, her heart soaring with happiness. "Yes, James, I love you. I've always loved you." And so they decided to build a new life together. It wasn't going to be easy. There would still be challenges ahead, but their love was stronger than ever. They knew that as long as they had each other, nothing could stand in their way. James and Lily were married in a small, intimate ceremony, surrounded by their closest friends and Lily's family. James's parents, despite their disapproval, did not attend, but neither James nor Lily cared. They had each other, and that was all that mattered. They moved to the city, where they built a new life together. It wasn't without its challenges, but their love was the glue that held them together. They worked hard, supported each other, and created a home filled with love, laughter, and dreams for the future. As the years passed, Lily and James had children. They taught them the importance of kindness, compassion, and love. They worked hard to give their children a better life, but they always made sure to remind them of the value of love and family. One evening, many years later, James and Lily sat together on the porch of their home, watching the sunset. Their children were grown, and their lives were full of happiness and contentment. They had faced so many challenges together, but they had never given up on each other. "I don't think I could have asked for a better life," Lily said softly, her hand resting in James's. "I feel the same way," James replied, looking at her with eyes filled with love. "We've been through so much, but we're here, together." They knew, as they sat there watching the sun dip below the horizon, that their love had been worth every struggle, every sacrifice, and every challenge they had faced. Their love had stood the test of time, and they had come out stronger on the other side. And so, they lived out the rest of their days, surrounded by the love they had built together. Their love story was a reminder that true love never dies. It endures, it grows, and it continues to light the way, no matter how dark the path may seem.